you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Smyth Radio. Your host, Brian Smith, staying up all night long for you so I can get all the details, all the information, all the breaking news that happened over the night so that I give it to you first thing in the morning. So when you get to work, you know what you're talking about. And this morning, something that you need to pray about, something you need to think about, something that will be talked about. Yes, today is December 7th. December 7th, 2016, 75 years since Pearl Harbor. 1941. That is correct. And right now I'm going to play you, it's about a 2-minute long clip, but it's from the Department of Defense, and it is the original file of Franklin Delano Roosevelt addressing Congress right after the Japanese had bombed Pearl Harbor.
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan. As Commander-in-Chief of the Army and Navy, I have directed that all measures be taken for our defense, but always will our whole nation remember the character of the onslaught against us. No matter how long it may take us to overcome this premeditated invasion, the American people in their righteous might will win through to absolute victory. I believe that I interpret the will of the Congress and of the people when I assert that we will not only defend ourselves to the uttermost, but will make it very certain that this form of treachery shall never again endanger us. Hostilities exist. There is no blinking at the fact that our people, our territory, and our interests are in grave danger. With confidence in our armed forces, with the unbounding determination of our people, we will gain the inevitable triumph, so help us God.
When you listen to that speech, I'm quite moved by a few things, but there in the end, when was the last time you heard a president say, "So help us God"? In a time of need, in an hour of need, I believe George W. Bush may have been one who may have said it during 9/11, and make no bones about it, make no mistake about it, we are under attack. We are in the perils of World War III. It's no joke. We are currently in World War III. 9/11 was the initial attack. 9/11 was our Pearl Harbor. But the stirring of emotions from a very powerful speech. Obviously, it was a very emotional time, an uncertain time, and probably a very, very scary time. However, if you look at what's going on right now today, not listening to the mainstream media, not listening to CNN, MSNBC, CBS, not this love affair, this sycophant, this desire to bring Muslim, Islamic, terrorist, murderers, jihadists to America. Not those folks. Because the media And this current sitting president is 100% involved in a silent coup to take over America, to build this one world order, which is similar to building the Tower of Babel in the Bible. And what did God do with that? Because they were building it for their own selfish reasons, their own self-interests. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. This one world order, this one language worldwide, this whole unification of all the people, this kumbaya, this we can recreate heaven on earth. We can create the Garden of Eden, the utopian society. You know, John Lennon and the Beatles, no walls, no religions, no governments, just all come together in love. No, that doesn't work, folks. We live in a very treacherous time. The world that we live in has always been encompassed by war. It's always been this war against good and evil, right and wrong, and the evil wants to blend it together and make it a gray space, a gray shade, politically correct, safe spaces. The more snowflakes, the Generation Snowflake, it is exactly what they've created. They have created this new generation called Generation Snowflake, where they'll melt at the drop of a hat. Somebody says something bad to them, they'll melt. Here on Smyth Radio, we believe that bullies serve a purpose. What doesn't break you makes you stronger. You need those forces, those outside forces pushing against you. You need those things to help make you a better person. Now, I got a clip real quick that's popped up here on the YouTube. And we'll see how this goes. But this is the current sitting president.
And the one thing I can promise you is if we turn against each other based on divisions of race or religion, if we fall for, a bunch of okey doke, just because it sounds funny or the tweets are provocative, then we're not going to build on the progress that we've started.
Is that the inspiring speech that you Democrats on the left? Is that the inspiration that you heard all the way back from December 7th, 1941 with Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the Democrat himself? Well, I've got a lot of problems with on the socialist ideas. Literally started to create and write his own Bill of Rights. That's in the past. That's an era gone by. However, we are now currently in a whole nother world where educated individuals that speak the truth are lambasted, berated, trashed, called names. And I talked about this yesterday on yesterday's morning show. A guy named Roy Masters has a syndicated show. He's been on the air 44 years. And I'm beside myself that I've just recently found him. And here's the reason why. The reason why is because he speaks truth to power, and the left has an impossible ability to destroy him. They can't. It's literally not possible. The guy is that good. And yesterday when I talked about him, and something I'd heard on the morning coming in, is that he had a caller that called in, and the question that the caller put to him was, I'm a good person. I know I'm a good person as I practice these good things. But why do these people, and I'll say the people on the left, why do these people, these Democrats, why do these libs, why do those in the media, why do they think that I'm horse manure on the table? They call me, I'm horse manure on the table. That was his example. When really, I'm the manure on the table that gives life to plants and fertilizes and helps to grow things, which was an interesting statement. I've never heard it put that way before. But if you look at the two coins, you could look at the manure and see that the cow flatulence in California needs to be regulated because of ozone layer issues and global warming, which, by the way, update on global warming real quick. Temperatures in America, the United States, sometime around today, dipping somewhere near negative 35. Chicago breaks record today since 1940 for snowfall. Just an absolute frigid December. So global warming. But anyway, cow flatulence, getting back to manure. You can look at it as an evil, as a horrible, awful thing. However, this kid looked at it and said, no, it's not. It's a beneficial thing that helps to grow and give life. And this is the point I was making yesterday on the show. And here's the sound clip of Roy Masters. He talks about the manure. He talks about Reagan, politics, and he touches on the Jewish community. And the reason why I wanted to make that a point to put that in there, this ties to all the problems that we're having right now in this world. Jews, Islam, Christianity, good, bad, evil, devil versus Jesus, if you will, evil versus good. This is where we are at in this world, and it is clear as day. And Roy Masters puts it so eloquently.
I know what you mean. Now look, why do people see President Reagan as manure on the table and as the enemy when he's hurt no one? It's the same principle, because there are people who think backwards. There are people who are enemies of reality. They hate innocence. Well, who do you think, when you see this genocide, who are being killed? Bad guys? It's the innocent. No, they do the killing. They take pleasure in destroying the innocent, because the innocent make them feel what they are really like. It makes them see themselves for what they are. They can't stand it. The innocent don't know they're holding up a mirror. They don't even know it. The Jewish people, even if they're not good people, not all Jewish people are good, but they carry with them promise. That's why the Jews are always subject to persecution more than any race on earth. There's something about Jewish people that carries a spiritual promise, a fulfillment, an end game, an end result which is very positive. So if they're allowed to live, the world, would no longer be, ruled by evil and darkness. But there's plenty of evil and darkness now forming to want to destroy them as an innocent nation. But they're not all innocent, but just being born Jewish means you carry this promise whether you like it or not. Follow that?
So does that not make sense? Do you see the point I was trying to get at yesterday is that because of your innocence, because of who you are, because of you trying to do the right thing, I want to do the right thing, I've got common sense, I've got intelligence, and I know that bringing Muslims that practice Islam, a religion that is incompatible with any society on this earth, it is incompatible with any society on this earth. That's right, Islam. It's just like the only creature that can ever share the muddied swamp with the crocodile is the hippopotamus. I had no, I was dumbfounded by that. I didn't realize that, but the hippopotamus is so angry and so evil and so wretched, but is not a meat eater. The crocodile are at bay and allow the hippopotamus. So the crocodile surrender to the hippopotamus. As human beings in our society that we live in to this day, the only people who can live with Islam or the hippopotamus are those who surrender. You give all your worldly possessions, your soul, your family, your freedom, all of that belongs to Allah, aka the government. So you are now beholden to the government that is a religious hegemony. They, as the they call it a religion, as the cult of Islam. The cult of Islam is at the head of the government, and they have a religious consultant, if you will. And that guy dictates law, Sharia law. And if they want your stuff, they come get it. If you're in the mall and you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, they'll take you away. You've got to go on Netflix. I keep telling you folks, you've got to go on, not Netflix, Amazon Prime. You've got to go on Amazon. You've got to look up the documentary on Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia Uncovered is it depicts Saudi Arabia for who they are and what they are. Saudi Arabia is the number one terrorist regime country in the world. And this is the evils that we're fighting right now. I know we're talking about Pearl Harbor and that it's been so long, 75 years ago. My grandfather was in World War II and he died 10 years ago, and he died in his late 80s. And so the veterans of World War II alive today are very, very few and far between. And it's extremely unfortunate I was never able to talk to him about World War II. I just heard bits and stories here and there about things that he may have said when he'd been drinking, and he used that as self-medication because the horrors and the things that he had seen and witnessed and had gone through. The greatest generation, that's what we call them, the greatest generation. And they wound up raising the baby boomers who enjoyed spoils of capitalism like no country, no human society in all of history has ever been blessed with. They have had all of it handed to them at all times. So the greatest generation gave that to us. And now we have to wrestle with the aftermath of the baby boomers getting everything they've ever wanted. Okay, I digress. Anyways, my whole point is that during World War II and the horrors of the war and in America staying apathetic to international affairs, staying back and holding back and say, okay, we know what's going on and we don't want to get involved. We don't want to get involved. And a lot of people, a lot of speculation say that, well, we couldn't get involved because the American people weren't ready to stomach another war. I mean, we had people that are still, alive and fairly young that knew the horrors of World War I, which was absolutely just one incredibly bloody, nasty, awful battle. Not to say that World War II wasn't either, But when you got trench warfare and you got troops in the trenches developing trench foot and dying from diseases and rather than bullets, there's a lot of problems. Anyways, so we fast forward to the situation that we're in now. And that is, for the last 8 years, we have had a president that has been hell-bent on bringing down this country, bringing this country to her knees. That has been his absolute and number one goal. Make no bones about it. That has been his goal. Reparations, if you will. He was raised with a lot of hate. He was raised by his, some people call his mentor. He refers to him as his mentor in his book, Dreams from My Father. I tend to take it one step further. And even if he wasn't his paternal father, Frank Marshall Davis was Obama's father. At bare minimum, he was a father figure, because Obama, if it is true, his paternal father, if that's true, he did have one, he was in Kenya. It had nothing to do with Obama's life whatsoever. So Frank Marshall Davis literally raised Obama. And if you know anybody who's been adopted, it is not hard at all for a boy or a girl, very young, or even not so young, but younger than a teenager. It's not so hard for an adoptive child to become so attached to an adult that is acting as a mentor or a parental figure, and that parental figure get attached to them as well. And I can easily sum this up, and this is not my example, but this is from Rush Limbaugh, and it's so absolutely true. People love their dogs more, and their cats more than human beings. So if that's possible, and if that's real, then for me to say that Frank Marshall Davis is Obama's father, there you go. It's done. Frank Marshall Davis, card-carrying communist, very angry, had a lot of hate, a lot of just angst in his soul. Communism was the way, and that's what he taught Obama. Obama got in tight with the powers that be, Bill Ayers, the money men, the George Soroses of the world that all believe the same thing. And originally, the Bill Ayers of the world originally believed we'll take down America through bombings and killings and guerrilla warfare type of thing, kind of like an overthrow of Castro overthrowing the Batista regime in Cuba. However, that's not going to happen in America very easily, especially when we have such a very large society, a large military, and lots of people that are free that will not go down that road. So this is kind of Hillary Clinton's idea. It was her little baby that she hatched, which is we've already been taking over the news media. We've already been infiltrating the news networks so that we can put out the propaganda, the fake news, which is what we've got today, 100%. 100%. Do not believe a single word ever spoken on CNN, MSNBC, CBS, ABC, MSNBC, whatever. You cannot believe a single solitary word that they say on the mainstream networks. There's a couple shows on Fox. You can't believe those either. I believe, and I listen to Sean Hannity. He's got great insight. I disagree with him sometimes on some minor issues, but on the basics in general, we both think the same. We both have the same ideologies, and we both want the same thing for America, which is a better America and a great America, a free America, An America where people are afraid to come here because they don't want to mess with us. That type of America. So Hillary and her minions start to infiltrate. They're infiltrating the news media. They've already got that covered. And they say, okay, now let's not do this violently. Let's just use every rotten, lying trick in the book. From lying, cheating, and stealing old people out of apartment complexes or housing and land grant, cheating them out of all their wealth and their net worth. Because that's how she started. They're stealing. To lying, cheating, and stealing for the White House. And using the Democrat propaganda, using the Democrat machine and the Democrat money to hide sex scandals, to hide criminal scandals, to hide all of that. And the media was compliant. So you've got the media building him up. You've got, I don't know if you remember, you got SNL back in the day showing how good looking and look at Bill Clinton. Look, he plays the saxophone. He's a cool cat, man. How can you not like him? He's a baby boomer. Look how cute he is. He's a cute kid. Let him have it. He's good. He's good for it. While all along berating and beating and attempting to malign and destroy everything there ever was about Ronald Reagan, to malign and destroy everything there ever was about Bush Sr. And not in hindsight, but we all knew. We all knew Ronald Reagan tapped Bush Sr. because he was part of the establishment. And Reagan believed that he could unite the Republican Party, establishment, and outsiders alike. He could unite them by having an establishment VP. I'm not sure if that was his advisors pushing him really hard for that or if that was him himself. In hindsight, not such a good idea. Created a dynasty of the Bushes, and thank God we've crushed the dynasty of the Clintons. Okay, so moving forward, you see how this is starting to metastasize. This is a cancer that's starting to spread and metastasize. Bush gets into power because we were all sick and tired of the Clintons and all of that nonsense. Not only that, but statistics show that after 8 years of one party, it is very, very difficult for that party to continue on to another term. George H. Bush did it, but then lost to Slick Willie. So the media, with their screaming and yelling and at the very peak of their performance, absolutely destroyed the goodness. I don't agree with everything that G-Dub did. I don't. I've got a lot of problems with the way he grew government. I've got a lot of problems with the way he grew and expanded social welfare programs, things like that. He would give deals to the Democrats to make them feel a little better, maybe to try and pull them in to make it a one-unit party. And come to find out, he was part of the establishment, and he was in deep with them, and he's got ties to Saudi Arabia, the greatest terrorist organization in the world, Saudi Arabia, ties to them. Okay, I digress. So at the same time that G-Dub, and his kindness and his goodness, I mean, he's a good guy. It's just a nice guy. The media cannot allow that. And literally, for 5 solid years, just hammered him day after day after day, just beating him and beating him and beating him until the Republicans, the Republican Party, and people who believe to be Republicans no longer wish to be Republicans anymore. The word Republican may as well have been some kind of curse word. I believe that was the time when I, in my young wisdom, I didn't know what I was doing then either, but I started calling myself an independent. That's right. I didn't run from them, but I used a different word. I didn't like that word because that's what the left does. They love to take words. They take words and they label you with this word. And if you don't want that label, then you'll run away from that label, Republican. You'll run away from that and go find something else. And that's what they want. They want you to be independent. They don't want you to be a Republican. Because if you're independent, then they can sway you a little bit more. At least that's what they think in their mind. So this whole thing is metastasizing. This cancer that we have in America called communism. Folks, there are so many people in our political system, throughout our government, that have hardcore ties to communism, to the Communist Party, the communist regime. I know you guys are going to say, man, this guy, Brian Smith's crazy on Smith Radio, keeps talking about communism. Go on Amazon Prime and watch it for free. The Enemies Within by Trevor Loudon. You'll be shocked. It will blow your mind how much they've gotten away with for so long, and how you'll be so angry that nobody's been talking about this. Nobody's been there in your corner to help you out, to get you to figure this out, for you to hear this, for you to educate yourself, educate your friends, educate your family. I've told this story before and I'll tell it again. There's a 21-year-old kid I ran into at a club sometime last year, maybe about 6 months ago. A black kid, a very young, articulate, clean, really nice, clean-cut kid. Came from a Catholic school, private Catholic school, and a friend of mine was talking with him. They were talking about something else, and something came up, and he made the comment, No, you don't understand. See, communism and capitalism, they have a lot of similarities. And it's just taken out of context and misunderstand. I said, whoa, son. For you to even go down that road and use those terms to say it like that tells me you've been re-educated in a way that makes you absolutely misinformed. No, they have nothing in common. One is evil. One is responsible for over 100 million deaths, more deaths in a century, in the 20th century, because of communism, than any other singular thing in all of human history. Communism is responsible for that. For the famines, for the slaughter, for the murders, the concentration camp. I mean, all of it. Communism. Capitalism, on the other hand, the single greatest. I played it yesterday. It's Milton talked about this. The single greatest idea, the single greatest implementation of a government system, capitalism. The greatest thing ever that human beings have ever witnessed, to raise more people out of poverty than any other thing in all of human history. That's the truth. Capitalism has done that, has been there. There's nothing else that has ever. And I was looking for the soundbite, but I can't find it. Don't worry about it. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Capitalism And capitalism, and they're misusing it still. They're calling it crony capitalism. There's no such thing as crony capitalism. It's crony socialism, which leads to communism. But they want to malign and they want to destroy capitalism because they want the socialism. They want the communism. They want the snowflake generation. They want those people dependent upon them at all cost, for all reasons. We will be your mother. We will be your father. We will be here for you as a government entity. And it's just unbelievable. So, as this cancer metastasizes, you then have Barack Hussein Obama, a community disorganizer. That's all he's ever done. He's never done anything in his life. He has no skills. He could not get a job at the company I work for. There is no way they would hire him for any reason whatsoever. He doesn't have janitorial skills, doesn't have office skills. He doesn't have machine shop skills. That's a labor job, average, everyday job. Couldn't get hired as a CEO, CFO, COO, corporate secretary. Couldn't get any one of those jobs whatsoever. We are talking about Barack Hussein Obama could not, with his resume, run a corporation legitimately. I mean, done without stealing or buying it. With his resume, could not start or create or develop a corporation. And why do I keep saying company, corporation? Because we live in a capitalist society. And if you know capitalism, like Donald J. Trump knows capitalism, you can help as a government official, meaning the President of the United States, you can help to allow that to flourish. I'm not saying create it, move it, cheat it. It's like that plant, like that flower, like that tree. If it's a peach tree, I have a peach seed. I bury the peach seed. That peach seed will say is the seed of capitalism. I bury that peach seed in the ground. And that peach seed will grow into a tree. And it will grow into a peach tree. No matter how much I want it to be an apple tree or an orange tree, it will always be a peach tree. I can't control that. I can't change that. However, I can help grow that. I can help water it. I can help groom it. I can help maintain it. And I can help take care of it. Capitalism is that peach tree that will grow on its own. The more we nurture it, the better it will become. And I say nurture, not manipulate, not molest it, and not get involved in it like the government has been getting involved in it. All these regulations, all these stifling regulations, cutting off the oxygen, cutting off the water supply for the tree, this peach tree of capitalism, just absolutely doing everything they can to get involved, to get more money out of it, to suck the lifeblood out of it because it means more for them. Not like that. Okay. Now, since Obama has no actual skills, excuse me, folks. Sorry about that. Okay, sorry about that. Obama has no actual skills other than speaking in public speaking. That's always, I mean, that's what he's known for, the public speaking. And if you heard that soundbite that I just played, not very well. He speaks from a teleprompter. That's what we've always known him to be, is a teleprompter kind of guy. If it's not written up there, he won't say it. And if it is written up there, he will say it, and people can screw with him, and he will still say it. He'll say the wrong thing because it's on a teleprompter. So this individual who knows communism, who's been bred in communism, has an absolute hate for Israel, an absolute deep-rooted hate for Great Britain because his grandfather reportedly, supposedly, was beaten and held as a POW during a war with Great Britain over there in Europe. And so he's had this in his mind that Great Britain is this evil. And no, don't make them. I'm serious. This is how petty. This is how pathetically petty this snowflake of a president is. There's no question about it. He's vindictive. He's jealous. He's envious. He's got all of those traits of anger, envy, jealousy, and they ooze out of him. When you see him speak now, especially when he talks about Trump, he can't hold himself together. He's an absolute mess when he speaks about Trump. It's hysterical. So he's known for speaking, and his job is to implement communism the best he can and push forward that agenda, which would be a takeover or a changing of our current form of government. Overthrowing this current government, this way of life, to change it to something else. Yes, high crimes and treason. Yes, charge him for something. He should have never been elected. However, we've got this society that we live in that has been raised in this education system that dumbs everybody down, just dumbs them down. So we've got a lot of problems on a lot of different angles. And this is what is caused. And I've got newfound hope in humanity. This is what has caused the absolute landslide. Folks, this is the largest referendum in history. Donald Trump becoming the president, a non-politician. He's never been a politician in his whole life. This is the first time. This is it. Other than maybe George Washington may not have been so much of a politician, but other than that, this is the first time it has ever happened, folks. And it's because the majority of Americans are sick and tired, and they're starting to wake up and they're starting to see it. It's starting to become so obvious. And it's unfortunate that it had to get so bad and become this obvious. That's what's unfortunate. Because although Trump, within his first couple of weeks of being president-elect, which means he's like in a holding pattern. He's got 60 days in a holding pattern to wait until the inauguration day. So it doesn't have the power of a presidency. However, he's acting as a president should. Speaking with world leaders, dignitaries, getting business together, cutting deals, getting things done. This is what we needed. But we're at war. Obama has created a monster, an enormous, gargantuan of a monster. This monster is the Islamic State. Or some like to call it ISIL. No, sorry. Only one person calls it ISIL. That's Obama. Islamic State in Syria, Islamic State. ISIS is Islamic State in Syria. Levant. ISIS is Islamic State in Levant. Regardless, it is a gigantic monster. And people are like, well, you can't go to war with it because they don't have a country. They do have a country. I'm calling it out. I'm letting you know what country it is. It is Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is the country of Islam, the Islamic State terror. It's not that hard to see, folks. So Trump yesterday was in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and check this out real quick. This is Lou Dobbs waiting for Trump to take the center stage, where he's doing his thank you tour right now. He was in Cincinnati the other day. Absolutely incredible. Huge turnout. The crowd was as large of a turnout as it was before when he was here during the campaign. Just amazing. So check this out. This is Lou Dobbs talking about the lamestream media, the news, the print news, and how they're treating Trump.
I was looking at the archives of Charles Blow, one of the columnists at the New York Times. Some of the titles of his most recent articles, and Blow is used to being noticed, I'll put it that way, by those in power and those seeking power politically. And it was we've elected a bigot. This president, we don't have to get along with you, Trump, basically, paraphrasing. All of them were hostile, nasty headlines to his columns. I mean, and nobody cares. That's got to be driving the left nuts.
It is. Those old rules don't work anymore. President-elect Trump has found a way to bypass the media, starting with the primaries last year, having these rallies, which is another reason why he's doing another one tonight in North Carolina, because he wants to talk directly to the people, because the media will not cover.
And that was Katrina Pearson. Sorry about that, folks. That was Lou Dobbs talking with Katrina Pearson. And that's absolutely right. When they start name-calling, and this is how you call it out, and this is how you show your friends and your family. If anybody starts name-calling, bigot, racist, sexist, homophobe, I don't care what it is. You're KKK, you're the devil, you're Hitler himself. Where did this whole Hitler thing come from? It's when they started calling George Bush Hitler, and they called everybody that was a Republican. The left always called him the next Hitler. Trump's the next Hitler. Hitler. So much so the word Hitler is now, it's thrown around like a rag doll, and it doesn't mean anything anymore. But my point is that the name calling of people is just unbelievable. When you speak of them, when I say name calling, if you call somebody an idiot, or you say someone is ignorant of something, or you say this person has no credentials and it's just a pathetic fool and this is why, that's one thing. But when you continue to call somebody a racist, a bigot, homophobe, xenophobe, Islamophobe, if there's a phobe attached to the word that you're calling them, you're making it up. It's a lie. Because that person can't combat that. How do I tell you I'm not a racist? See, that's why they're saying racist. Now, if you call me an idiot, I can defend myself and tell you why I think I'm probably not an idiot. If you say I'm a moron and I'm uninformed and I'm just a fool, or I'm a weasel, or I'm a liar, I can come back from that. But this whole homophobe and xenophobe and Islamophobe, all these phobophobes, and you calling people these names like this, they're not defendable names, and that's why they use them, because they don't want you to defend it. They want it to stick. They want, especially racist. And the reason why they call you racist is because deep down inside, that is exactly who they are. You are the mirror as the good, wholesome, Christian, common sense, intelligent thinker. You are the mirror for them. And they see themselves. And that's why they scream these names at you. Because it's really them. Now here's Michelle Malkin we're still waiting for Trump to come out in Fayetteville. And they're talking and talking before he comes out. He's going to give a big announcement. And this is Michelle Malkin, and she's talking about Paul Ryan. And Paul Ryan's starting to make a little bit of a stir. He's starting to try and tell people, I don't know if he's telling Trump directly. Trump wants a 15% tax rate for corporations. And Paul Ryan said, no, 20%. We're not going all the way 15. Well, Paul Ryan, there's a new sheriff in town. And Michelle Malkin, just an incredible woman. These are the women that my daughters will wind up looking up to, reading their books and watching them on TV, like Ann Coulter in the book Godless. There's also another book called Bamboozled. It's an incredible book. It talks about the Democrats and how they've hoodwinked the black community into thinking that they had their best interests. So, but I digress here. Michelle Malkin speaking to Fox News, I believe it's Lou Dobbs again, speaking to Lou about some of the things in the media and waiting for Trump to come up.
They've been entrenched for so long. They are not going to loosen their iron grip on the power that they have wielded over the American people on Capitol Hill. In particular, Paul Ryan is, and I am not going to mince words, I've said it before, I believe he's one of the biggest crap weasels in the Republican Party. He is a threat. It's why I backed his primary opponent, Paul Nealon. And now at least there are some Johnny-come-latelys who are awakening to the fact that he is not Donald Trump's friend.
No, he is not Donald Trump's friend at all. Trump is a smart man. You've got to trust Trump. I trust him. This whole thing about, never Romney. This whole thing about having Romney to the Trump Tower and looking at Romney to see if maybe, he could be Secretary of State. Yikes. And the thing about Secretary of State is the face of the president, is the face of your cabinet, of who you are and what you stand for. And as Secretary Clinton, she proved that this regime that is leaving office stands for absolute corruption and can be bought and sold for at any cost. So, with that being said, this is a little bit out of timeline frame order, but this is very, very relevant. Newt Gingrich was on, and there's a lot of people coming out about this Romney thing. Romney cannot be Secretary of State. If Trump appoints him Secretary of State, I'll get over it. I'll swallow the pill, and I'll move on. I don't have to be happy about it, but it's out of my control. I elected Trump. Trump's in control. I believe and I trust in Trump. Okay? However, with that being said,
I am for the President of the United States, whoever the president is, having people that they can relate to. If Trump picks Romney, I'll support it. But until he picks Romney, I will speak out against it very strongly. I think it's a huge mistake, and I think that it absolutely flies in the face of the overwhelming bulk of his supporters.
Correct. The Never Romney hashtag has been trending on Twitter forever. This Never Romney thing has to go. Romney has to go away. He's not in politics right now. He should never be in American politics. It is unfortunate that his moral compass has steered him so far from the beaten path and so far from what's right and righteousness that it's just unbelievable. So Trump takes stage in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and announces Marine Corps retired General Mattis as Defense Secretary. And here's the General speaking himself.
Thank you, President-elect, for the confidence that you have shown in me. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm grateful for the opportunity to return to our troops, their families, the civilians of the Department of Defense, because I know how committed they are and devoted they are to the defense of our country, the defense of our Constitution. And with our allies strengthened, with our country strengthened, I look forward to being the civilian leader so long as the Congress gives me the waiver and the Senate votes to consent. Thank you very much.
So that's absolutely true, though, folks. Trump has given him that position, and because he has not been out of service, there's the technicality, you got to be out of service for 7 years before you can take a civilian position. I didn't know that. He knows that. But he can get a waiver from Congress, from the Senate, and Congress can ratify it. It'd be done. No big deal. Just want to let you know, guys, that this general, as a general, he was let go within less than 7 years, which means he was general, held the position of general during Obama's regime. He was fired by Obama without a phone call. Not even the courtesy of a phone call. I think this is absolutely an awesome move in the right direction. General Mattis is a patriot, as well as all the most of everyone else that Trump has appointed in his cabinet that are patriots. There are some folks that I might not so much like that are in lower cabinet positions. I can't have it all, but some of these larger cabinet positions, I am absolutely excited about them. I'm excited that Trump is picking some of these really incredible individuals that are there to help us and help us move forward. Real quick, I don't have the one queued up. Let's cue this one up real quick. This is on the Boeing deal. This broke yesterday, by the way. Boeing, and this is Trump on Boeing. Trump talking to the media. It's real quick, but here's what he's got to say about Boeing.
It's totally out of control. It's going to be over $4 billion. It's for Air Force One program. And I think it's ridiculous. I think Boeing is doing a little bit of a number. We want Boeing to make a lot of money, but not that much money. Okay.
So Boeing slated to make an Air Force One, a 747, for $4 billion. I just want to let you know, folks, $4 billion on an aircraft, a lot of money. F-16 costs $20 million. You could buy 5 F-16 for $100 million. I'm just saying, it's just absolute insanity. $4 billion? Done lost your mind. See, these are the government programs, the fat, the pork, that I believe that Trump can cut out. This is something else that came up yesterday, too, as well. This is Trump talking about SoftBank, Japanese company.
This is Masa of SoftBank from Japan, and he's just agreed to invest $50 billion in the United States and 50,000 jobs. And he's one of the great men of industry, so I just want to thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Who does that? Who does that? A businessman does that. This is what we've expected. This is what we wanted. This is what we need. This is the capitalism that we need to bring to America, to make America great again. There is no question in my mind that Trump is the man to make this thing happen. I know people were poo-pooing the whole thing about the carrier deal. I just want to let you know, carriers getting $700,000 a year break for the next 10 years. So $7 million over 10 years on tax incentives if they keep their 1,100 employees. Some reports are saying, 800 were only going to be fired. The other couple of hundred, they were never going to be fired. Regardless, 1,100 employees, if you take that and do that at an average of $15 to $20 an hour over an entire year, you are speaking about $41.6 million. $41.6 million that's going to be kept in the state of Indiana. So don't throw these things away. Frank Luntz started throwing this away. I blasted him on Twitter. Frank Luntz is a fool. He's on Fox News. Don't listen to him. These deals are good deals that they're going to hate. They're going to hate these deals at every single turn. Be ready for them. Listen to us here on Smyth Radio every single morning for the morning update, and then 3 hours on Sunday evening for the weekend wrap-up. We are here for you. Share us with your friends and your family.
With unfathomable power.
What kind of power?
Unfathomable. It's without fathom.